The Masters takes center stage in San Diego. We'll recap the top performances and moments from the 2021 Legends Championship next on Game Central. Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Game Central presented by Thorne. I'm Sean Woodland with Annie Sakamoto, and we were lucky enough to be in San Diego, California this past weekend, checking out the 2021 Legends Championship, and it was an absolute blast of an event down there.
Oh, the venue was awesome. The athletes were incredibly inspiring, and the programming did a really good job of being challenging, but showcasing what these Masters athletes are capable of.
And we're going to speak to event organizer Bob Jennings a little bit later in the show, but first let's run through the winners for both the men and the women. We'll start on the men's side. In the 35 to 39-year-old division, David Syverson successfully defends his title, had a pretty dominant performance there. Gregory Wheat in the 55 to 59-year-old division was also impressive, and then in the 65-plus division, Tom Mulbauer ends up beating David Hippensteel by 10 points. The two of them had a really good battle throughout the entire 4 days. But when you look at the men's competition, what are your top three takeaways from those 4 days?
First for me would be Jason Grubb, who also won the CrossFit Games in the 45 to 49-year-old division this year. He led from the second event on at this competition. He had 4 event wins and no events finishing worse than 10th place. And I think right now in the 45 to 49-year-old male division, this is the man to beat. Second would probably be, like you were saying, that great race between Tom Mulbauer and David Hippensteel. It really came down to those final events. Both gentlemen were repping out bar muscle ups, and to think that they are over the age of 65, I believe Dave Hippensteel is 69 years old, doing multiples on bar muscle ups, it was mind blowing. And then really just the whole 35 to 39-year-old field, there was only one gentleman in the field that had actually competed at the games this year, but when you look at what that field was doing, the weights they were lifting, the high skill movements, this is a loaded age group. These are all men that could easily be at the CrossFit Games.
There were impressive performances in that 35 to 39-year-old division, and that race between Mulbauer and Hippensteel was a lot of fun to watch. Let's go over to the women's side and run down the winners of those divisions, starting in the 35 to 39-year-old division, where it came down to the final event. April Payne gets the victory there. Val Voboril dominant in the 40 to 44-year-old division. Special shout out to Keely Ellers, who was at my high school. She was 2 years ahead of me. She wins the 50 to 54-year-old division, and Patty McGill and Mary Schwing in the older divisions. They were absolutely dominant. Mary Schwing almost perfect through the entire event. But speaking of Mary Schwing, I mean, she was just probably the most impressive performances that we saw in any of the age divisions.
She is an absolute legend. Sean, she won 9 of 10 events, and the only event that she didn't win, she got second place. So a completely dominant performance by Mary Schwing. Really fun to see her out on the competition floor again. And then there was a great race between the 55 and 59-year-old division, between Rose Wall, Christy Lunny, and Shanna Bunce. And it all came down to those final 2 events where literally the leaderboard changed within those last 2 events. As commentators, we like to see a good race. It's fun to see somebody run away with it, but it's even more fun to see, a sprint to the finish there. And then for me, I have to say, watching Val Voboril out on the competition floor was so much fun again. I mean, this girl's got it, right?
Yeah.
On the events that we didn't think she would do well on, specifically the row and the lifting event, she got top 5 performances. And on the events that we knew she would do well on, well, she finished first. So it was just great to see Val Voboril doing Val Voboril things.
Bob Jennings is the man who helped create and organize this event, and I spoke to him about everything that went down in San Diego this past weekend. Bob, what was it like for you after putting in all that work to set this event up, to finally see it come to life and be very successful?
Just pure gratification, Sean. I mean, Joe and I couldn't have been happier to see the Masters community come together the way it did. Pure gratification.
Yeah. There were so many fun moments in the competition in all the divisions throughout those 4 days, but what are the ones that stand out the most to you?
It was funny. I was having dinner with David Johnson. He and I are good friends, and so we were having dinner on Sunday night after the competition ended. And his wife actually asked me, what do I remember most about the competition? And it was nothing to do with the David Johnstons or the Jason Grubbs or the Val Voborils of the world. There was a woman in the bar muscle up workout.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have the option to scale, and she tried for, that was a 8-minute workout, right? She tried for 7.5 minutes to do a bar muscle up, and she got up on top of the bar and was struggling for seemingly like 2 minutes, right? I mean, just wouldn't give up, and finally got over that bar and did her first bar muscle up. And I've never been more excited at a CrossFit competition than seeing that, right? It was just all that effort and energy and love for the sport all thrown into that one movement that she very slowly but ultimately successfully completed was amazing, and I'll never forget that.
Last year, you're out in a field in Arizona. This year, you're in San Diego on a first-class facility with a great crowd. Given how successful things were this year, I know you're already looking forward to 2022. How do you grow this event now beyond what we just had?
Well, Joe and I, dove back into the laboratory pretty early on Monday morning, and we're starting to think about, all right, well, where does this thing go next? We have some ideas that we're not really quite ready to unveil yet, but we're definitely going to add another floor next year, and we're going to continue to focus on growing internationally. And we think that the success that the European athletes, in particular the Irish athletes, had at Legends this year, we want to leverage that to start bringing in some of the great athletes from Europe that have done exceptionally well in the games and other events like that. They need to be at Legends too, and hopefully we're in a COVID-friendly world where they're able to travel over and compete against the best in the US and Canada.
Final question. I know, I've talked to athletes who were there. I know you've talked to athletes who were there. What are you hearing from the men and women who competed about what it meant to them to have a competition that was just dedicated to the Masters athletes?
They're incredibly grateful. The live stream that you and Bill and Annie commentated on, and Charlie and team ran, I've heard nothing but amazing praise around that. I can tell you the number of times that people came up to me and said, "Oh my God, my CrossFit career is made. Sean Woodland just said my name on a live stream," right? And it meant a lot to them to showcase their skills for their peers, not only in person, but also throughout the world on that live stream, and only, strictly dedicated to them. Even some of the greats like Val Voboril made comments similar to that.
Big thanks to Bob Jennings and the entire crew down there in San Diego for not only hosting us, but putting on an absolutely fantastic event. That is going to do it for this edition of Game Central, presented by Thorne, the official supplement partner of CrossFit. Thorne helps athletes and individuals perform at their best by optimizing performance through testing, database solutions, and premium nutritional supplements. Visit thorne.com/u/CrossFit to get 20% off your order today. Don't forget, the Open starts in about 2 months, February 24th of 2022. So stay tuned for all the details on that and how and where you can register for the Open. And also the 2018 CrossFit Games documentary is out now on iTunes, so be sure to check that out. That is it for today. For Annie Sakamoto, I'm Sean Woodland. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time.